You learned how to write information into an XML file in Lesson 10.9, but there's a much easier way to do this. Using the XML Serializer class, you can save any C# object into an XML file, and easily convert these XML files back into objects. To begin this lesson, open the .NET Expert project from your Sample Files folder. And open Object-to-XML.aspx in Design View. Once complete, this page will enable you to save the name and address details into an XML file and retrieve them again. Open the code behind file of Object-to-XML now, and add the following using line to the top of the page. Using system.xml.serialization. This namespace contains the XML Serializer class. Now add another using line with the code using system.io. This namespace contains the Stream Writer class. You'll need this to write the XML data to a file. You learned about streams in Lesson 2.3. Examine the code in the button Serialize to XML file. Click Event Handler. This event handler creates an instance of the customer class and then populates its properties with the values entered by the user. You're going to add some code to this event handler that will convert the customer to serialize object into an XML file. Add the following code at the end of the event handler. XML serializer equals new XML serializer type of customer. This code creates an XML serializer object that can convert customer objects into XML files. Converting objects into files is known as serialization. Notice that the type of keyword is needed to specify the type of object that the XML serializer will serialize. Now add the following code on the next line. StreamWriter writer equals new StreamWriter server.mappath /customer.xml. This code creates a StreamWriter object that will be used to write the XML file into the web application's root folder. Now add the following code on the next line. Serializer.serialize writer customer to serialize writer.close. This code saves the XML file and closes the StreamWriter object. This is all the code you need to save an object as an XML file. Test your code now by viewing Object-to-XML.aspx in your web browser. When the page loads, change some values in the text boxes and click Serialize to XML file. Now close your web browser and return to Visual Studio. Next, click File, Open File. Now if you're not already in the .NET Expert folder, navigate to the C, Practice, ASP.NET 4.5 Expert, Sample Projects, .NET Expert, .NET Expert folder. Now click the customer.xml file and click Open. The XML file that was generated is opened in Visual Studio. You will write the code to convert this XML file back into an object in the next lesson. That's lesson 12.6. Note that as well as serializing objects to XML files, you can serialize them to standard binary files. This is done using the classes in the system.runtime.serialization namespace. Serializing objects to binary is a more involved process than serializing to XML, but it has exactly the same purpose. The advantage of binary serialization is that the resulting files will be smaller than the XML files created through XML serialization. The advantage of XML serialization is that the files it creates can be easily read by other XML-aware applications, such as Microsoft Excel. Binary serialization might seem useful if you want to serialize large amounts of information to a file, but a database is usually a better choice when you need to store large files. Close Visual Studio now, and you've now completed Lesson 12.5, Serialize an object to an XML file.